Paris on Politics from Fox 32 Chicago.
Some opening shot thoughts. All right, I admit I'm late to the party here, but President Trump is single-handedly making me interested in the Jeffrey Epstein saga. He's been posting breathlessly in recent days, begging for his supporters and the media at large to move on from an issue that he and his supporters have stoked the flames of for years. In today's rant, the president calls it, quote, the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. He says his supporters have bought into it, quote, hook, line, and sinker. That's right, Mr. President, they have. And you in the world of influencers who have built lucrative careers in your movement cast the fishing rod. Remember mere weeks ago when some of those influencers left your White House with binders saying Jeffrey Epstein files. So why are you trying to wish this away now?
He's dead, he's gone, and all it is the Republicans, certain Republicans got duped by the Democrats, and they're following a Democrat playbook.
Objectively, there's no universe where any of that makes any sense. The president is reverting to the familiar messaging strategy of information that might be unfavorable, calling that a hoax. It doesn't seem to be catching on this time. And let's remember how the sordid case of Jeffrey Epstein entered the popular conscious. It starts with the great investigative work of journalists at the Miami Herald. They were all over the sweetheart deal a South Florida prosecutor cut with Epstein. That prosecutor was Alexander Acosta, President Trump's choice for labor secretary in his first term. When this all came to light, Acosta resigned. Epstein was then arrested on sex trafficking charges in New York, and then he died in his jail cell. The case was everything that certain media influencers long for: a perversion of justice, the appearance of elites running a secret cabal of sex trafficking, a so-called suicide shrouded in secrecy. They spent hundreds of hours creating content that spread wild conspiracy theories and prompted President Trump and his movement to cast themselves as the saviors that would expose this dark web and take down prominent Democratic figures with it. And you can be sure they monetized all that content to the hilt. Somehow they were able to perfect this cognitive dissonance whereby they completely ignored the mountains of evidence that tied Trump to Epstein. The pictures, the video of Trump and Epstein at a party dancing, the claims from both Trump and Epstein in separate interviews that they had been longtime friends. But now the president and some of those influencers have a huge credibility problem with their base. Either they lied to them, claiming this was a bigger conspiracy than it actually was, or they're lying to them now, claiming nothing to see here. Either way, none of it adds up. The more the president wishes this away, the more I want to pay attention.
Coming up on Paris on Politics.
Illinois Comptroller Susanna Mendoza says she's stepping down after this term to ponder her future. Does that mean a run for Chicago mayor? The future of PBS and NPR is at stake as Congress votes on a bill to eliminate federal funding for public media. And Chicago's changing shoreline. Lake Michigan's levels are down again. How that could impact the billion-dollar Great Lakes industry.
This is Paris on Politics from Fox 32 Chicago.
Welcome to Paris on Politics. The race for Chicago mayor is more than a year away, but that's not stopping some potential candidates from making their moves. Today, Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza announced she will not seek another term in that office, fueling speculation that she is eyeing the fifth floor. Mendoza tearfully said she'll finish out her third term as Illinois Comptroller before moving on to other challenges.
Moving forward, I'm going to figure out what the right move is for our family, for our city, and for our state. Find out where I'm needed most. What's that next biggest challenge that I need to take on?
That next challenge is widely thought to be a run for Chicago mayor, an office she tried for 6 years ago but lost to Lori Lightfoot. Mendoza didn't make an official announcement on a mayoral run today, but says she has not been happy about the way things have gone.
I think that Chicago is in dire need of competency, of someone who understands the needs of the city, who understands how important the role of the city is to the good functioning of the whole state. And I think that we've had two very unsuccessful mayors in a row.
But Mayor Johnson was quick to defend his record and said he doesn't believe Mendoza poses much of a threat.
I don't think much about her candidacy. In fact, she tried this already, and apparently Chicagoans did not think too much of her candidacy either.
The announcement comes as several potential mayoral hopefuls have released their latest fundraising totals. According to campaign filings with the Illinois Board of Elections, Secretary of State Alexi Janulius leads the pack with around $4.6 million cash on hand. Mendoza is sitting on about $1.3 million, incumbent Mayor Brandon Johnson $1.1 million, and Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas $79,000. And joining us now is Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza. Comptroller Mendoza, thanks for speaking with us. You know, your comments earlier today seem to signify whatever you do next, you have a keen interest in the governance of Chicago.
Well, I'm concerned, like so many other people are, about the direction of our city. And certainly as the state's chief financial officer, it's been very frustrating to know that all of the hard work that my team and I have done to try to get Illinois ready for its growth spurt is being compromised when our city's economic engine, or our state's economic engine, which is the city of Chicago, is sputtering every day. So I've been speaking up very much, not just as state controller, which you should expect me to, when we see terrible financial decisions that are impacting not just Chicago, but our state. I have an obligation to speak up, and I have. But also, of course, as like the mother of a child who goes to CPS, I'm very concerned about the direction of our schools. And obviously, just a Chicago resident who wants to feel safe in my neighborhoods, right? All of the restrictions that, you know, make people feel like this is no longer our city. And frankly, you know what really bothers me is looking at this beautiful downtown area or the rest of the city and knowing that I could take a picture of it without a single crane impeding my view. You know, cranes in our skies are important to have because they are an absolute visible indicator of a city's vibrancy, of its economic health. And so those are many of the things that concern me because they do impact our bottom line financially as well and our quality of life.
All right, you said bad decisions. You mentioned the last two with the current mayor, the previous mayor have not been successful. What specific decisions financially have they gotten wrong, you think?
Well, how long do we have? How long do we have here today? I'll give you like the last couple, right? I mean, taking out an $830 million bond deal literally not even 24 hours after the city got downgraded, and then structuring that deal in a way where the first 2 years are skipped in payments, and then the next 20 years are just interest-only payments. I mean, it literally should be criminal to operate the city's finances like that, yet these decisions continue to move forward. And these are, think of like the parking meter deals and how bad that was, that it still stings today. This is like our modern parking meter deal, and they're happening over and over again. There was $1 billion or $1.5 billion before that. And so we don't even know what this money is being spent on, but it's not the governance money, right? It's not the government's money, it's the people's money. And I think that we should have a better understanding of what it means to respect taxpayer dollars and what it means to like leverage every dollar to its maximum use. And we're clearly not doing that as a city, and it's going to impact us as a state as well.
Speaking of financial decisions that could impact the city, the governor has on his desk a bill that would increase pensions for the so-called Tier 2 police and fire employees. And according to some analysis from the Civic Federation, that's going to cost billions. That's an unfunded liability that's going to cost billions more, up to $750 million a year by 2055. How can the city afford another unfunded liability like this, given all that you're laying out?
Sure. Look, I mean, let me be the first to say that, you know, I love the police. My brother's a police officer. I want to see them be able to be getting their pensions, make sure that they're protected with their pensions. But when we take what is already a woefully underfunded pension system at 25% funding and do this, which really truly is unaffordable right now, and take it from a 25%, worse than the nation funding level, to an 18% funding level, what that means realistically, if we want to be truthful with people, is that it might go completely insolvent. I don't know how you recover from an 18% funding level. And so, you know, if we were in a better fiscal condition, then we could argue, let's do these things, right? We definitely want to help our police, our firemen, our frontline, folks. We love them. But I also want to make sure that when they retire, their pensions are there for them. And this absolutely actually compromises that. I mean, it feels good to say, here, look, this is what we're doing for police and fire, but are we really helping them, or are we hurting them more?
I know that you're pondering your future. I'm not going to get you to announce or run for mayor right here, but what's your time frame on deciding what you want to do?
Well, you know, today was a big day for me. I announced that after 10 years, or almost 10 years of dedicated service as your controller, I'm not going to be running for re-election. So that in and of itself, like, think about it, right? I've been really dedicated to serving the public for now 24 years, 10 years as a legislator, almost 11, 5 as city clerk, and 10 years now going on 10 as comptroller. So I kind of want to just take a little bit of time to really reflect on how privileged and honored I've been to have that kind of trust for that many years from the public, and to figure out what's my next big challenge. So when it comes to the mayor's office, definitely leaving that door open, right? But I really want to go on a thank you tour. I know it's not common. Certainly not common to have somebody in office who could run for re-election and most likely get re-elected. I'm not trying to sound conceited, but I feel like the people have supported me. I was the top vote getter out of all candidates running for office in the last election.
I know you've got a very prominent supporter downstate named Dick Bigger, who...
Dick Bigger Jr. He's actually in Henderson County. Yeah, he's the best. But, you know, like, I feel that I want to be challenged. I've always stepped up for the hardest job, and that's why I ran for comptroller during the hardest time, and I'm very proud of my results. And I'm going to take some time to go on this thank you tour, listening tour, and hear from people. And once I make my decision as to what that next biggest challenge is going to be, I promise you I will absolutely be all in, because I'll be the best person for the job.
And we'll have you right back here to talk about that. Comptroller Susana Mendoza, thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. And up next, funding for PBS and NPR on the chopping block. The result could put more than Sesame Street at risk.